So in today's video, you join me in the first of a series of videos that I'm going to create around a series of images that I've wanted to create for quite some time. Come out to Flamborough Cliffs around sunset, and I want to do some 60-second long exposure photos from the top of the cliffs, looking down into the bays and just seeing what sort of textures and patterns and shapes you can find in the cliff tops. It's a great place. Around every corner is a different thing. So let's start at North Landing with the boats and the bay, see what we can create. So just along the cliffs around here, there are these little peninsulas that just stick out a little bit further than everything else around them, and they're kind of fun to get out onto, just to get a little bit further out from the cliffs and kind of shoot back, which is what I'm going to do here. There's a little cliff line just along here, and it's surrounded by the nice turquoisey blue waters around here, and we're just shooting off into the distance. It's just going to be a very fun looking 60-second long exposure photo. I'm going to change my ISO to ISO 400. We're shooting in a little bit of a low light, there's low light now, so we're just going to up the ISO a little bit just to bring some shutter speeds and apertures into range where we want them. So 60 seconds, ISO 400, and f5.6 is going to give me one stop overexposed. I'm going to focus around a third of the way up the cliff, focus nicely through there. I'm going to rotate the polariser. There we go. 10 stop filter, polarizing filter, ND810 on in the camera, shooting settings as before. Now there is one reason why I overexpose my long exposures by one stop, is you can never be too sure whether your 10 stop filters are actually 10 stop filters. They may block a little bit more, they may block a little bit less, but overexposing a stop, generally you're going to be okay. It'll give you a little bit more shadow detail, you'll be able to pull the highlights back, but you're going to be able to somewhat rescue the image in the long run. Here's his final photograph. So when I was talking about all the fun little coves and rock formations around this place, let me show you down here, and I'm going to show you the photograph that we're going to take. There are hundreds of these little bays, hundreds of these little coves full of sea caves that have been carved out as the tides come and gone. But this one in particular is just full of little details, little textures, fun shapes, and especially the colour of the water as well. So let me bring the camera around and I'll show you down into the bay. I'll show you what we're going to take a photograph of. So if you can see down into the cove here, you can see all of the turquoise water. It looks fantastic. It's almost transparent, especially in this kind of area here where you can see all of the rocks and everything on the seabed. But you can see all of the sea caves that have just been carved around. And you can see just how much shape and how much texture this little bay has, especially leading out to the horizon. So I think we'll get a 60-second long exposure photograph of this. I'm just not too sure if we're going to go vertical or if we're going to go landscape. So let's take this photograph then. I've decided to go for a vertical portrait photograph for this one. I just prefer the way it leads the cave and the bay and everything. I just prefer the way it leads through the photograph. I tried it in the portrait and there was too much either side of it, so I've decided we're going to go for a vertical photograph and we're just going to lead through the bay to the North Sea in the distance. I'm shooting at 60 seconds, f4.5, ISO 400, still low light, polarizer, 10 stop filter, and I've reduced the live ND now to ND4. The light's dropping off a little bit. We don't quite need so much in the way of ND filters, so let's go ahead, 2-second timer, take this photograph. I'll show it to you. Just ignore her. So I've moved now to a spot called Breal Nuke. I think it's pronounced Breal Nuke. Anyway, it's a little cove area with a rock in the middle of it, which I believe is called King Rock. Queen Rock, I believe, is the one that fell over years ago, but I think the one that is still standing is King Rock. And the cove kind of bends round and you've got this big rock formation, this big sea stack in the middle of it. And I thought it makes for a really fun long exposure photo. The sun is almost setting. We're about 20 minutes away from sunset. I was hoping a little bit more colour will spread across the sky. It's not. We've got a thin band of orange, but it is what it is. But I want to hurry up and get this photo because I want to get another photo of the rock itself and then just see if we can't spin around the other side of this cove and get something heading back looking towards Baitson Cliffs. So I've still got the 10-stop filter on, we've still got the polarising filter on, and we're still shooting at 60 seconds. ISO 400 now, because obviously sun's dipping. I think I'm going to turn the live ND off. I have live ND4 turned on. I think that's going to be too much now. I think we'll just completely turn live ND off at this point. It would stick with the physical ND filters. So I've got a composition here. We've got the rock on the kind of bottom left rule of thirds point, and just looking off into the North Sea on the horizon with the bay poking round. So let's go. 60-second exposure, 1 stop overexposed, f6.3, ISO 400. 2-second timer's turned on now. That's because I'm not using the live ND. Here's this photograph. I'm then going to finesse something where we get a vertical photograph of just the sea stack on its own with maybe some cliffs around it. Maybe just the sea stack on its own, actually, I'm thinking. Let's just see. Let's see how this one turns out. We'll move on to the next one. Alright, so I've got a vertical composition set up of just this sea stack. There is some of the cliff in the side. I tried to do it on its own. It looked a bit janky without any cliffs in there. But the sun has just dropped below the bank of cloud. It's just throwing a little bit of warm light on the side of this, which is making me really reconsider this now. I think we're actually going to go a little bit wider and get some of the sky in. Now there is some colour. I'm changing this on the fly. It's always fun. Right, let's get some sky in there because there is some drama and definition now. Right, so a long exposure as before. f5.6, 60 seconds, ISO 400. Just let me quickly focus on them. Cliffs over there. Happy days, polariser on, rotated. 1 stop overexposed. Here we go. Hopefully, yeah, we've got a little bit of warm light, a little bit of colour. Happy days. So I don't know if you can tell with all of the light behind me, but the sunlight has really just lit up this scene. So instead of moving around to try and take another photo from another spot, I've decided to camp here and I'm going to revisit or readdress a slightly wider photo here, especially now we've got the light on the cliff tops and we've got a little bit of colour in the sky. So I'm still down at 60 seconds, f5.6 and ISO 400. If I open this aperture up a little bit more to f4, that's going to overexpose a stop, and again we can bring things down a little bit later and we'll just overexpose them, which we should be fine. I'm not clipping any highlights, I'm more worried about the shadows in this photo. So the sun is just dropping below a bank of cloud now. There's a little bit of crull and a little bit of drama, so let's go ahead. 60-second photo, 2-second timer. Here it is. So I'm really pleased with how tonight has gone. Granted, there was a little bit of blue owl photography in there, but we finally managed to get a little bit of sunlight, a little bit of golden light, and I think the final 2 photographs really worked out quite well. The whole idea of this is to start visiting this area a little bit more often, avoiding the popular places where I tend to go, and hopefully create a little portfolio of photos from this area. So thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up and like. It does bring new viewers to see my content. And if you're new here and you see me for the very first time, why not drop me a subscribe down below and you'll see more micro four thirds related nonsense from me every single week. So until the next time, I'm going to love you and leave you and say peace and goodbye. Oh shit, look at that.